That really looks like something not appropriate. That looks kind of terrifying, actually. Aloha friends, and welcome to Eating Richly, where we cook mostly healthy, affordable, family-friendly recipes rich in nutrition and flavor. I'm Diana Johnson, and having previously lived on just $50 a month for food, I am the queen of saving money in the kitchen. Now that we, along with millions of people, have lost our income, stretching those food dollars is even more important than ever. I do have dozens of posts and recipes on eatingrichly.com that focus on money-saving tips. I'm going to share 10 of my food budgeting tips right here in this video, but before we jump into that, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and then click that bell. This helps you get a notification every week when we post a new video, and it helps us by telling YouTube that people like to watch our content and they should promote it. Also, if you click the link above, you can sign up for our newsletter and get sent a document that has links to all the recipes that are mentioned in this video. I don't have this compiled anywhere else right now. It is just for our YouTube family. So click that link to sign up and don't miss out. Okay, let's go. Tip number 1 is to regrow foods like lettuce, green onions, and celery in water right in your windowsill. I started doing this more than 12 years ago when I was using a ton of green onions because I had just left Hawaii and was cooking a whole lot of Asian food. There are all sorts of fruits and vegetables that you can regrow in dirt, but I like the ones that you can do in water because it's just easy and then I don't have to deal with dirt in my kitchen. Growing them takes a little bit of time, and you certainly won't get the same yield that you would with a head of romaine lettuce or a whole bunch of green onions, but I can still end up with enough for a serving, and it definitely saves me some money. Tip number 2 is to save your cooking fats. You can pour off your bacon grease and save it in a jar in the fridge. If you end up frying something, you can actually pour the cooking oil through a paper towel or coffee filter and a strainer, and then save that oil to reuse the next time you're gonna fry something. You can even save your butter wrappers, fold it up in the freezer, and then use them whenever you need to grease a pan or a baking dish. Eric was so confused the first time he found my stash of butter wrappers and wanted to know why I had trash in the freezer. Tip number 3 is to make your own sauces, dips, and dressings. This tip is perfect for someone who is as condiment obsessed as I am. You can see the evidence of that in our French fry board video linked above. Basically, if you get a few big bottles of vinegars like red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and a big bottle of your favorite oil, mine's avocado oil and olive oil, you can make your own salad dressings really affordably. My favorite vinaigrette was taught to me by my French cousins, and it's basically just red wine vinegar, olive oil, Dijon mustard, fresh garlic, salt, and pepper. You can mix it up by adding herbs, mayonnaise, citrus juice, apple juice, cranberry juice, Parmesan cheese, really whatever you want. You can also make your own barbecue sauce, steak sauce, fajita sauce, pot sticker sauce, pasta sauce, and more. I have recipes for a lot of these on eatingrichly.com, and all the links will be in that document you'll get if you sign up for our newsletter. There is even a recipe for making your own mayonnaise, which I had to do last week because I ran out and was not going to go to the store and risk the stay-home order or exposure just for mayonnaise. So that brings me to tip number 4. There are a lot of reasons you might only use part of the egg, the yolk, or the white. Like last week when I used egg yolks to make homemade mayonnaise. If you only use part of the egg, save the rest of the egg in an ice cube tray in your freezer. By only putting one yolk or white in each cube, you freeze them in an easy quantity to use. Once you're ready to use them, let them thaw in the fridge or in a bowl sitting in another bowl of warm water. You can use the yolks for mayonnaise, ice cream, lemon curd, pudding, creme brulee, hollandaise sauce. Egg whites are good for meringues, souffles, pavlovas, granola, macarons, macaroons, angel food cake, and royal icing. You can also just add extra yolks or whites to whatever scramble or omelet you're cooking. Tip number 5 is for those of you who love seafood as much as our family does, and that is to try buying whole fish instead of fillets. Now, I know this totally depends on where you live and what's available in your area. It's really easy to get affordable whole fish here in the Seattle area, but I've also seen big bags of whole frozen tilapia at Costco's all over the country. Just keep an eye out in your store for whole fish and compare the price to the cost of fillets per pound. For instance, when I get this whole salmon at Costco, I'm basically getting 2 salmon fillets for the price of 1. Whole fish are incredibly flavorful and are less likely to get dry when cooking. I have recipes for whole salmon and whole tilapia on our site, and I'm actually testing one for trout right now, so make sure to check those out. Now, you might think that's a wash because you're not going to eat the bones or fins or head of a whole fish, but wait for tip number 6. Like 1 and 2, tip number 6 is focused on sustainability and reducing food waste, and that is to save whatever food items you can possibly use. You can save fish bones, shrimp shells, crab shells, lobster shells, if you are lucky enough to be eating lobster right now somehow. Any part of seafood that you would normally throw away, save in a bag in the freezer and use it to make seafood stock once it's full. You can save scraps from your vegetables like carrot peels and pepper tops and onion bottoms in a freezer bag and use it to make vegetable stock. You can use leftover bones from a turkey, fried chicken, rotisserie chicken, or a T-bone steak and use those to make turkey, chicken, or beef stock. In fact, if you have a butcher near you, try calling and asking if they have any dog bones available. We buy a local cow every year, and they're always giving away the big bones as dog bones. But you can actually roast these bones and use them to make homemade beef stock. But fresh foods aren't the only ones that can have waste. If you are living off lots of canned foods from your pantry right now, you could actually be pouring money down the drain. The liquid in canned beans is called aquafaba, and it is actually a great substitute for eggs in baking. You can even whip it into a vegan whipped cream. The liquid from canned vegetables can actually be added into soups as vegetable stock. And the liquid from canned fruits, whether it's a juice or a syrup, is great for sweetening iced teas or cocktails. I keep a jar in my fridge. That really looks like something not appropriate. It's from canned green beans, though. I keep jars for fruits, vegetables, and beans in my fridge that I can pour the liquid to every time I use a can. Tip number 7, like number 5 with the fish, helps you to save money by using a whole product, and that is to make your own homemade lunch meat. Whether you cook and slice a large turkey breast, a ham, or a beef roast, it ends up being quite a bit less per pound than buying the pre-sliced deli meat. You can also get a better quality of meat for the cost. I've actually done this so often that we own a meat slicer because just 1 year of making our own lunch meat paid for the cost of the meat slice. Should I link to this? I'll link to it just in case. Check the description. But you can also slice these with a knife. The easiest way to get really thin slices of any meat is to have it partially frozen when you slice it. Once the meat's all sliced up, we store it in containers in the freezer, 1 week's worth of meat for our family per container. I can just take a container out of the freezer for our family each week and let it thaw in the fridge. We not only use lunch meat for sandwiches, but also chopped up on salads to make fun, cute food snacks for the kids and just as quick protein snacks for the whole family. And while we're on the topic of freezing things in bulk, I've got tip number 8 for you, and that is to make your own bulk freezer foods. I love to make pot stickers, breakfast burritos, spam musubi, and meatballs in bulk. It does take some time, but if you are stuck at home right now, like most of the world, time is what we've got. Set aside 2 to 3 hours to prep your ingredients and assemble your foods. For small individual items like pot stickers and meatballs, I freeze them on a cookie sheet individually and then dump them into a bag once they're frozen. For spam musubi and breakfast burritos, I wrap them individually in plastic wrap to keep in the freezer. Using plastic is not my favorite option, honestly, but right now we are in survival mode and it's the best option we've got. Tip number 9 is similar to tip number 3, and that is to make your own spice mixes. Rather than buying taco seasoning, Cajun seasoning, pumpkin pie spice, apple pie spice, Chinese 5 spice, and on, I like to have a variety of single ingredients that I can turn into my own spice mixes, rubs, and seasoning salts. This gets you a much better price per ounce on your spices, especially if you buy them in larger quantities than the little bottles. By the way, if you do get spices and herbs in bulk, it's really easy to know if they're still good. Just open it and smell. If you can smell it, it's still good. As they get older, you might need a little bit more to get the same amount of flavor, but it's still fine to use them. I have a crazy good seasoning salt recipe on the site, along with pumpkin pie spice, taco seasoning, and cinnamon sugar too. And tip number 10, the final and most important tip for saving money on food is to meal plan. Stay with me. I know you are not a planner. You prefer a laid-back approach and going with what you feel like, and plus who has time to plan? I hear you, and I was right there with you. But the truth is that meal planning is the most effective way to use what ingredients you already have at home and to avoid buying ingredients that you won't use or don't need. It usually takes me 1 to 2 hours to meal plan for the week. This includes writing down the meals, checking for what ingredients I already have at home, and creating a shopping list or putting in an online order. While 1 to 2 hours sounds like and feels like a lot of time, it's actually a big time saver in the long run. By having a plan and knowing I have the ingredients I need, I don't end up wondering what to make at the last minute, or planning to make something only to find out that I'm missing one key ingredient. Then of course there is also the financial benefit of avoiding the I'm so hungry and I don't know what to make, let's just order pizza. Meal planning is also helpful for the family because I post the plan on the refrigerator and they can see what we're having for dinner each night. This has prevented some hangry meltdowns from kids who are really planning to have mac and cheese for dinner every single night of the week. While I will put a meal for each day of the week, I will sometimes switch days around and allow some flexibility in that. We eat leftovers for lunch, mixed in with some sandwiches or salads, and I'll also have Mom's Diner one night of the week where everybody gets to choose what they want for dinner that night based on what leftovers we have. I got this idea from my mother-in-law and make it pretty fun with a whiteboard menu, and the kids really have a blast with it. And there you go. That is 10 of my favorite ways to save money on food. I know there's a whole bunch I've missed, so if you have some, please let us know in the comments below. And any of you who have lost work and income like we have, you are not alone. We're all struggling. We're all in this together. So let's help each other. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter so that you can get the links to all the recipes I mentioned in the video. Please stay safe and healthy, friends. And remember, whether it's in the comments ideas on saving money and reducing food waste, you can check out these videos on how to preserve avocados and what to do with asparagus ends, and I will see you in the next video. To make your own sauces, dips, and dressings, and the baby is screaming.
Pick 2.